Riverside.
Are we starting? Is it on? Is it recording, Tim?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was just looking out the window at my new Range Rover that all these Ohio State fans got me this week by all the clicks.
Woo!
And
the views, baby. The views are in. We're gonna be in LA at some point just to be on Oscar Talk, Emmy Talk. Like we might get on the Today Show here shortly. Like we are blowing up.
What a wild course of the last few days for the Kirkwood and Dunn podcast. You are listening to the Kirkwood and Dunn. I am Trent.
I'm Tim, the most hated man in America.
You might be the most hated man, at least in Ohio, for sure. I can't say that all of America can get on board, but
That's true.
at least
Actually,
the state of Ohio.
I have the backing of most of America. Most of America.
I think you do.
Yeah, Ohio State. Fart noise. But Columbus, I am not welcome. I am not welcome in the state of Ohio.
In all seriousness, Ohio State fans have been fun to interact with. I mean, I don't mind being called the R word constantly and being called dumb and not knowing things. Everyone super shocked that we started this podcast in November 2024, and somehow that's an indictment on the entire Indiana fan base. I mean, it's just been a constant barrage of interactions from just a little Indiana sports football podcast talking about that we happen to say something about Ohio State. I am just thankful for all the interactions, all the follows. Our stuff is off the metric. And so because of that, Tim, I just have to ask you, would you like to apologize?
Absolutely not. I'm apologizing to absolutely nobody. What would I apologize for? I want Ohio State fans who are clipping and joining in right now to understand this. What I said last week still holds true. You are not God's gift to college football. We would be totally fine. College football would be fantastic if your program was wiped off the face of the earth. We're good. Helmet stickers, see you later. Like, we're fine. I don't need your chirps in my mentions. You sound like a Sesame Street character. I don't give a rat's behind about Ohio State. There are way better programs out there. And I'll go. We can spend a whole damn episode going in on them. I don't want to hear any more about it.
We're not going to do that. I don't even know. Maybe I'll clip this. I have no idea. I am not going to go down that road because we do have a big game. I mean, Tim, we made Ohio State message boards. We were clipped for hype videos. There were national people that were reaching out to us about stuff. It was wild. It was fun. And Tim tweeted today, because we're not going to talk about it on this podcast. He tweeted, go find it, at TB Hoosiers. He put out his top 5 God's gift to football programs. Did I get that right, Tim?
Official rankings. The official rankings. God's gift to college football program rankings.
And Ohio State is not on there, just to confirm.
Nope. Confirm. Okay. The official status that I tweeted out was they are somewhere in the middle. And then officially right behind them is the Indiana football program.
Yeah.
But soon to pass Ohio State on Saturday.
That's fair. Let's talk a little bit about the fan reactions to some of the things we said last week, because I do think it is actually fascinating to see the headspace that Ohio State fans are going into this week about. A couple things. People had a real big issue with they haven't played a better offense. They haven't played a good offense all year. And they're throwing out Texas as an example. From August 30th, Arch Manning against Ohio State at Ohio State is their best example of an offense. I have some serious concerns for them because Texas isn't even good on December 4th. On the offensive side of the ball,
this is why we cannot. I mean, yes, thank you, Ohio State fans, for your mentions, your clicks, your replies, your engagement. We will be feasting off of Elon Musk's $2.37 payout from all those views soon enough. But like, you're just the dumbest people around. Don't like read any chart in the world and see that, yeah, Texas is not a good offense. The Indiana offense, FPI, Sagarin, yards per game, points per play, just name the metric. We're top 5 in the country right there along with you, Ohio State. So just accept it as fact. You may listen, we're going to do the damn prediction at the end of this episode. You may very well win the game. Fine. But don't pretend like Indiana is not the best opponent you will have played this season. That is a fact.
Well, and it's not even that. It's if you think you're 38-14 or whatever people have been throwing out there as like predictions to beat Indiana this year, then you think you're 2 to 3 touchdowns better than everyone in college football because Indiana's better than everyone else in college football. So like, sure, you can have that delusion. Facts probably say that's not the case. You know, I think some metrics put out. What's the Bill Connolly metric? SP plus. 26-25, I think it was Ohio State, the prediction. And I point out Vegas, who literally has millions of dollars riding on this thing. And they don't predict scores. They predict which side of the market things should go on.
Right.
Is dropping the number from opening to now this afternoon. It was -4.
Yeah.
So like
be confident all you want. Buckeye nuts, go for it. There are many establishments in this country that will allow you to place a wager on your phone. So start making money then. I'm going to chirp up. Listen, I'm going to start making some money too on the Indiana Hoosiers this weekend. But guess what? It's because I understand what the game is going to be. If you think it's going to be 38-17, you could probably get like a 20-1 payout. Pay off the mortgage 100%. Then, Buckeye. Go for it. Knock your socks off.
Most of them probably don't own. Let's be real. Okay. So the fan reaction's been wild. They're very confident, and and I said it, you take things out of context, things that gets clipped. Ohio State is, I think, the best program in college football this year and of recent years. And Ryan Day has taken them to a whole new level. They might win this game, this matchup majority of times this season, but it only takes one. And that's where when I get the most mad at reactions is when Ohio State fans don't even give Indiana credit like they deserve to be on the field with them.
Right.
And that just ticks me off. And honestly, it ticks me off from like experts too, because I've constantly seen experts picking Ohio State easy and acting like this is not even a game. And I like today, you and I are Cover 3 podcast fans. They all picked Ohio State to win the game and cover multiple points, and they're better. And I just get this frustration that Indiana again is just not being respected. And that's so frustrating because there's nothing that team, metrics wise, schedule wise, best win of the year wise, quarterback wise, NFL prospect wise, that doesn't say that they should be on the field with Ohio State. They should be on the field. They might not win, but they deserve to be there. And they are that good that they could give Ohio State a run for their money and they could win.
I will disagree a little bit. I think we're getting more respect. Maybe less, maybe not as much in terms of the actual pick a national media member submits, but I think we're getting more respect in terms of the tone, truly. Because at the end of the day, a Vegas spread of 4 points is literally just one touchdown play difference, right? It's a field goal plus. It's IU kicking 2 field goals and getting 6 points instead of 7 and a touchdown. So that's like, we're talking about a 1 possession game. And I think everybody more universally expects this to be a 1 possession game. Now, they're going to do the thing, which I get, which is the problem with a lot of national media members, is they are helmet watchers and they are risk averse and they are biased to a history of data points, which is what these fucking Ohio State fans keep yelling about. You haven't won in 30 years. We've won 30 straight. You've never done anything. You won a bowl game in 1991. Dude, The 1991 Hoosiers aren't playing this fucking game on Saturday. Do you know who's playing the game on Saturday? Fernando fucking Mendoza, Elijah Surratt, D'Angelo Pons, Carter Smith. Those guys are playing the game on Saturday. So to think what is going to be the outcome of the game on Saturday has anything to do with anything from the last 30 years. To think it even has anything to do with the last season, 2024.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. That's the problem. Not you, Trent, co-host,
No.
Kirkwood and Dunn, fantastic. But the national media or other fans out there don't think like that. These rosters turn over. The coaches turn over. Brian Hartline is on his way to South Florida. I mean, he's going to still coach the game, but we'll see what he's able to contribute. Like, trying to understand what the outcome of Saturday's game will be should be heavily recency biased, right? Like, these teams, even of themselves, are not the same teams that they were to start the season. We said the same thing just a few minutes ago about Texas playing at Ohio State week 1, late August. That Texas team is not the same team. I don't think that's a 14-7 game if they were to play again this weekend. Just like Julian Sands not the same quarterback he was then. Arvell Reese is not the same linebacker he was then. Bo Jackson is not the same running back. So, like, when I analyze this game truly from a, like, analytical perspective here, what have you done for me lately? What has Indiana been like the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks? What has Ohio State been like the last 3 or 4 weeks? And to me, this is a tough matchup, but I understand when people say Ohio State is their pick. Because even in the last few weeks, I see nothing but dominance from Ohio State. I see no chinks in the armor. I see Julian Sand playing at a higher level than what he was earlier this year. I see them offensively giving him more to do at the quarterback position versus sort of like protecting him like they were early on in the year. I see a defense that is still extremely healthy, which is great for them, that is attacking. I see a Matt Patricia defensive coordinator scheme that I think is hot right now. Like, I get it. But this is still a close game. This is a matchup of 1 and 2, and it's a justified matchup of 1 and 2.
Yeah, and you're saying that, I'm not here to say that like the national media is picking on Indiana or like the Heather Diniches of the world are saying Indiana doesn't deserve to be in. This isn't 2024. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when they're analyzing the big game breakdown, looking at you, Tom Fornelli, Chip Patterson, Bud Elliott, and Danny Cannell. They talk about it differently than they talk about other number 1 versus number 2 matchups in past. And we've had some in Alabama and Georgia, like playing in the SEC title game. It's usually like both sides. This is how we're going to do like that. And it's basically like Ohio State might be the best team ever. And like that, that's it. Like, and I don't know how Indiana's going to stop Jeremiah Smith and Cardinal Tate. Yeah, no duh. Like that, of course. And we're going to break down what we think in the game. But like, it's the tone of which everyone's like, is this the least hype number 1, number 2 matchup ever? Yeah, I think it is. And I think it's because everyone in the media, they don't come out and say it like they used to, that Indiana's not for real. It's like everyone just expects Ohio State to win, and so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And I get the whole playoff implication too.
Yeah. Well, but I think and I'm agreeing with you here that I'm saying I think there's, even for the best national media analysts that we all follow and, whatever else, they still have bias problems. That they are still, am I really going to get on TV with a camera and a light on me and look in there and say, the Big Ten champion is going to be the Indiana Hoosiers? Am I really going to say that?
Yeah.
No, right. They are scared to actually
Danny Cannell said
They are
that
scared
exact
to do
same
it.
thing. Danny Cannell said, what will I look more dumb about?
Exactly.
If I pick Indiana and then Ohio State boat races
And listen,
them, or if I pick Ohio State and then Indiana wins.
and folks,
And
that's
he
why you listen to
decided not
Kirkwood
pick
and
them.
Dunn, because
Yeah.
I'm not scared and you're not scared to put our picks out there, to give our opinions. This is zero fear, right? Catch me with a monster can and a no fear sticker on my truck nuts on my Chevy Silverado. It's a little rusted out in the back.
Are you from Ohio?
Catch me outside, okay? I don't have fear about this. I'm not, okay. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop right now because
Yeah.
I almost wanted to get into my pick for the game. We've
No,
got
don't
still
give me
more to
pick.
cover here, but
We do have we
we're
have we
close.
have
We're
we have
close.
segments. You know this. We have segments on Thursday's episode. The last thing we'll talk about before we talk about what does it look like if Indiana loses this game, what does it look like if IU wins this game, is motivations. How much do you think motivations are playing a factor in this? Because Ohio State doesn't. I got asked this last night on Voice of College Football. I, is Ohio State just going to mail it in, knowing that they want to win national title? Big Ten doesn't matter. Is Indiana going to mail it in because they know they might play Ohio State again, and so they don't want to show anything? Like what's your take on that? Because I can share a little bit about what I said last night.
I don't think that's the case. This is a talking segment, just like in most college football related media right now. Um, because what is for our our audience that is maybe less inclined to be watching every piece of media that goes out there. Really, the large consensus is that no matter what happens in this game on Saturday, both Indiana and Ohio State will have a top 4 seed and a bye for the college football playoff.
Yeah.
So, when you put that context around it, we're reasonably asking what's our motivation here? But the reality is that I mean, this is a huge game for Indiana to make that respect a little bit more well known. A chance to have a Big Ten title for the first time in God knows how long. I think it's 50 some years since they shared, and outright, I think it was 1945.
Yep.
So huge day. But Ohio State, it's been a while for them. I think if I were to put myself in their shoes, this is an opportunity. You see yourselves as a favorite to win the national title as well. But last year's national title has a little bit of a blemish, and it comes at the hands of the Michigan Wolverines in particular. That if you're a Michigan fan, you can go, yeah, you won the national title, but who beat you that year? Oh, we did. That's right. This season presents an opportunity for Ohio State to fully run the table, to have beaten Michigan, to have won the Big Ten title, even if it's over Indiana, whatever else, to win the national title, a sort of really quote unquote magical, perfect season. And so to that extent, I don't think Ohio State is really letting up. Now, I do think there's a scenario where a guy pulls up with a little bit of a tight hamstring, Carnell Tate's ankle, Jeremiah Smith's ankle, hamstring, whatever their injury has been. That tightens up a little bit in third quarter. Maybe we pull out and we rest, right? I could see that, and I could see that for both teams even going, would be really nice to win the Big Ten, but like we both have bigger aspirations here, so let's maybe pull some things back. But like, if I'm Indiana, Ohio State, and I think, you know what, I really like our jet sweep on offense with our sprinting slot wide receiver XYZ. I really want to build in and do some more, secondary blitzes on third down. I think they're pulling those tricks out of the bag. I don't think from a schematic and play calling perspective, they're really holding anything back. I think both teams are doing all they can to win this game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said last night. Like, I think the Indiana motivation is obvious, and also like our coach is ingrained to. It's I see football game in front of me, I win football game.
Yeah.
Like that is just like what Kurt Signetti's whole mindset is, and so I don't ever think he will take it easy. Now, could Drew Evans not have played against Purdue and he kind of set him out for this potentially? But even then, Elijah Surratt played and
Right.
Evans like went through warmups. Like I think they were trying to see like how he was going into that game.
And I think they were
So
fully ready to play them if things broke a certain way, right? Like I think
yeah,
these teams are going for it.
I well, and Signetti is, and to your point, I think Ryan Day cares about legacy. I know Ohio State fans fucking care about legacy. We've experienced that this week. They all want to talk about it. They all want to dunk on Tim for his comments about Florida being a better program because they know the number of national titles. They know the number of Heismans. For them to go 16-0, and I've been talking about cover 3, I'll give Tom Fornelli credit. He says, like, if they go 16-0 in this era after winning national title last year, It is the greatest run in college football history. I think they know that, and I think
Yeah.
that's why they will go for it too, like your point. And so I don't steal my thunder, Ohio State fans, that if you lose this game, don't say you were saving it for the national title game, because I'm going to steal that if Indiana loses the game, that we are just saving it,
Yeah.
not showing anything in front of them. So I've already got set up. I've got the script. I know what I would say Sunday. I've wrote the concession speech if I have to write the
Yeah,
concession
we can
speech.
record
But
Sunday's episode right after this.
right
Like
now,
we're ready to
both
go.
sides, both
Yeah.
sides, both sides in the reaction to it. All right, Tim, our favorite segment. What does it look like if they lose? What does it look like if they win? Go ahead and take, what does it look like if Indiana loses to Ohio State? What does the game look like?
I think if Indiana loses, um, we are snake bitten by, I think, what are our two Achilles heels. Defensively, it's the likelihood that we give up big passing plays. Um, Ohio State schemed up a really good one early against Michigan, where Carnell Tate had a nice crossing route, deep sort of post route on a play action play. I can see that you just substitute the Indiana defense for the Michigan defense on that one. I can see that happening. And that's what gets Ohio State out in front a little bit and ultimately allows them to pull away. I think what goes along in concert with that too is that the Ohio State pass rush, whether that's coming from their defensive line or any sort of blitz scheme, is really bothering Fernando Mendoza. And the time isn't there. The timing on certain routes is off. Fernando maybe takes more risks, maybe throws some picks. That's a real problem. And I think that's the way they can disrupt Indiana, can attack us, and ultimately pull away with the championship belt.
To add to that, what I wrote down was like Ohio State is just that good. Maybe they are. Maybe they
Yeah,
are the juggernaut that we are hearing about all week. Like maybe it is that just type of dominant team that we've seen in college football before, that even the number 2 dominant team, they dominate, right? They're that much better. So, like, that is possible, and that is one of the reasons. The other parts that I wrote down, I mean, I wrote down the secondary, kind of what you were talking about with the long play. I think I've said this. I mean, I was saying this back in October. I think we're a bad matchup for Ohio State, regardless of talent on the field, the way that they play, because I saw it. Ohio State kind of sped up against Michigan. Like they were going fast tempo. And for some reason, we talked this with Jamie Jordan. No team's really done that except one drive, and that was Oregon, and they scored a touchdown in 3 plays,
yeah.
and no one's done it since. I think Ohio State has the weapons and the discipline and the good enough team to do that, that maybe that happens. And what I think Indiana's defense has been getting disrespected all week long by people, like, because it is talking about a historically good Ohio State defense, and inevitably that just comes with like, well, Indiana maybe is just not that is not that level, so they can't be
Right.
anywhere near that. I think that that would that could potentially be a problem, because I think if you line this up, Brian Haynes is good enough defense coordinator. That defensive line wreaks enough havoc that's there. The last thing I'll say is something that we always bring up, and I know it's a common refrain, and maybe we saw it in the Oregon game, as it's no longer going to be the case. But I also did see us against Penn State kick a field goal inside the red zone in the 10-yard line, that if we would score a touchdown there, we would never have needed the catch by Omar Cooper. Conservative play calling. And it's not going to be because it's the Big Ten championship game. It's potentially going to be because that's just kind of what Cignetti and Shanahan have done in some of our big games over the course of 2 years. They didn't against Oregon. They did not. They were aggressive. Does it come back? And I think that would cause them to lose the game.
I do worry about that too.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance that we will look back on this game if Indiana loses and find a decision second, third quarter where, instead of going for it, we kick a long field goal. Instead of going for it, we punt, you know, uh, or we go for it and we do something that will make me want to commit federal crimes of like a short down to goal and we do a shotgun pistol snap run. And I'm going to be screaming about Mike Shanahan's play calling that
Yeah.
how can you run a pistol snap run on 4th and 1? Like, did you think our offensive line was going to get movement on their defensive line in that type of a situation? Like, think about this, buddy. Need a little, come on. So that is in the back of my mind, and I will allude to it now. That has influenced my prediction on the outcome of the game.
Okay. How does IU win this game? What does it look like if they win?
I think if we win, let's talk first about Ohio State offense, IU defense. I think it's a dominant performance by the defense. That what we saw when this defense traveled to Oregon, and oh my God, high flying Oregon and Dante Moore and Dan Lanning, and they gave it one sack, to start the season, and we had a sack on the second play of the game and had like 6 the whole game. Yeah, actually, it turns out Brian Haynes is an elite defensive coordinator. Zone pressure sim looks like we're really dialing it up. It's the best defense Julian Sayin has seen. They don't run the ball at all. They're in 3rd and longs, and we're able to run up and make tackles. That's a little bit of my fear here is that our propensity to play zone in our secondary allows for shorter completions, and if we don't make the tackles, then we run into some issues.
I.e. second half against Penn State. Yeah.
Right. But if we're able to run up, make the tackle on 3rd and 8, when Julian Sayin just dumps it off to the tight end 6 yards, you got to make the tackle. So I think those things, if we win, those things line up for the defense. And we force Ohio State into these continual bad situations, and we're able to get off the field. Offensively, this is a really tough defense to play. Premier athletes at every level. Caden Curry on the defensive line, Arvell Reese at linebacker, Caleb Downs at safety. And we have to counteract that. That means counter run plays. It means Fernando Mendoza keeping it on options, on sort of quarterback via run option looks. It means jet sweeps. It means things in space to counteract how fast these guys will be flying to the ball. If we think we can run it down their throat over and over and over and over again like they're Purdue, we are wrong. I love our offensive line. They've gotten some awards now. Carter Smith is probably going to go in the first round. It's the best offensive line Indiana's ever even come close to sniffing. But they're not that good. So I don't know how well we will truly be able to run the ball against this defense. I don't know how well, especially the right side of our offensive line, will be able to protect Fernando Mendoza. So I think if we win this game, and offensively we have clearly then some level of success in order to win, I think we're seeing a little bit, I wouldn't want to call it a tricky IU offense, but wow. Oh, look, our eyes are going one way and now we're back. What a wide open hole for Omar Cooper on the reverse. Like, we see some of those things. We will not see Indiana win this game with a Maryland style game, a Purdue style game, where we just kind of chug along, choo choo choo, hand it off, Hemby black, right? And we score. That's not the way we go.
That's what Michigan tried to do.
Right. I think we will have to be a little bit creative to overcome what I still think is a small gap, but still a talent deficit, our offense versus their defense.
So for IU to win this game for me is, one, they have to disrupt Sayin. That doesn't mean always sacks. It just means pressures. It means all this stuff, and also not give him enough time. He's an elite check down quarterback. Like, he finds the tight end better than maybe any quarterback in the country on those. Like, I don't know how many times, even like the Penn State game, and it comes to mind, where Penn State be in the backfield and, they're taking away the receivers, but there's the tight end just wide open crossing. I mean, they did that to Rucker constantly in that game without Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. So I am worried about that. So that means, like, for them to IU to win, we need to wreak havoc. We need to go in here going, hey, Sayin never gets touched. just like we said, Dante Moore never gets touched, and then all of a sudden it happens. And so I agree with you on that part. On the offensive side of the ball, my whole thing is inside out. So where I think IU needs to do a good job of is establishing the running game. I think Michigan showed people like that first quarter, I was laughing, right? I was like, here we go again. And part of the reason why they were able to do that was because Jordan Marshall was in the game. All of a sudden, Jordan Marshall goes out of the game, and then Michigan can't do it. And Bryce Underwood can't throw, and they don't have receivers who can catch, and they don't have a coach who knows offense
What he's
from
doing.
the inside of his ass to come to a point that they are just not being able to expose anything. So where I think Indiana's got to go is what you were talking about. Roman Hemby and Keelan Black, they're great running backs who probably is a little underrated in the Big Ten that no one really talks about. It's not like we saw them on any of the all Big Ten conferences stuff. They need to establish running up the middle or just getting runs, pounding Black into Ohio State over and over and over. Make them respect that. And then unlike Michigan, then they go to the boundaries because you don't throw over the center of the field against Ohio State. They have elite linebackers and obviously elite safety with one of the best defensive players in college football. But their cornerbacks are suspect. And I'm not saying it comes down to how the officials are going to call the game, but it might come down to how officials are going to call the game. Because Igmanosin and Matthews, all they do is grab. And Elijah Surratt is a big physical receiver. Omar Cooper is a big physical receiver. And they're going to go one-on-one with those guys because that's one thing Matt Patricia won't do. It's not like they're going to box in Elijah Surratt. They're not that worried about him. No. So they got to go win some one-on-one balls. They're good enough to do it. And that's how they would win the game. And obviously that means that our offensive line holds up. So, all right, Tim, it's prediction time. Who is your player of the game? Who's the X factor here?
This is tough. I mean, this is number one versus number two. This is for both teams, the best team they'll have played all season. It's on a neutral site, which I think is important here. I will be there. I will be on the Ohio State side, but rooting for Indiana in terms of the bench seating. I see this coming down to Fernando Mendoza. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Heisman Mendoza finds another moment, which he has done at Oregon, late, fade route to Elijah Surratt for the touchdown. At Iowa, late, post, Surratt, 60 yards, touchdown. Late, at Penn State, Omar Cooper.
Multiple
end
threats.
zone. Right. He has come up when we need it. So I need Heisman Mendoza to not make the mistake, to make the throw that's needed to put the ball where it needs to go. I thought you raised a really great point about what the coverage would look like for Surratt. And I think they have a really good chemistry in stop fade routes in particular that are some of the hardest plays to defend in terms of football. Does he make those and makes that throw to the 1 foot to the side and the sideline where only Surratt can get it? Or is it more center and the corner closes? And either, picks it off, tips it away, or whatever else. I've got Heisman Mendoza easily, I think, the most important player of the game, but I think my player of the game for Indiana to pull this out.
So my player of the game, Fernando Mendoza, I hope is the player of the game because that means not only do we win the Big Ten championship, but we win a Heisman Trophy too. So, but I'm not going to be boring and go, I agree, Tim, and then move on to the next thing. My player of the game is the guy that kind of got snubbed, Stephen Daly. Because all I saw against
got snubbed from
Purdue,
the All-American Big Ten player
the Big Ten,
awards.
all Big Ten.
Yeah,
he was honorable mention, even though he leads the Big Ten in tackles for loss and has been an absolute disruptor. And I get why he didn't get it. Like, I'm not here to say there's a conspiracy because one, Indiana had 17 guys on all three teams,
Yeah.
but it was also because he didn't start the year. Like he was a role player at the beginning of the year, and then when Kellen Wyatt went down post Oregon is when he started playing. I think that when I saw him against Purdue, he was Michael Kamara last year,
Yes. Yeah.
which is what we haven't had. We haven't had Kamara. He has not
Correct.
been that guy. And Stephen Daly is multiple times was beating the offensive lineman so bad that on that reverse sweep, he is standing there waiting for the Purdue guy to run into him. And why I want to pinpoint him is he's not the leading sack leader on Indiana's team. That's Elijah Hardy.
Elijah Hardy. Yep.
Which, James Jordan, I got that wrong on your poll today. But he's second, and he's only a part-time player. And I think that he's got to disrupt the game enough that, one, he plays himself into a first-round pick because he has the body type for it. And two, he is the reason why when we say, hey, Indiana's only got 6, or like Indiana can get back there against Dante Moore, and then all of a sudden they have 6 sacks. That's the type of guy that has to do it. And him and Tyreek Tucker and all those guys, like, they got to show up. And so I'm gonna pinpoint him and give him the credit and the shout out that he deserves because he's been an absolute stud. All right, Tim. And by the way, we have obviously a lot of new listeners to this podcast. We picked Oregon to beat Indiana. So both of us did.
Yep.
So we're not complete homers. I did pick Indiana to like beat Iowa by like 35 and shut them out. But we'll only bring that up to just prove that sometimes we're smart and sometimes we're dumb. What do you say? Is this Ohio State game?
I think to summarize my points earlier and where I really do feel this game will go. I love talking trash to Ohio State fans. They are the easiest bears to
They're
poke
so
in the
easy.
woods. It is so funny how insecure they are about anything. And like their biggest retort is like, you've never won for 30 years. Duh. Yeah. Yeah. I learned to read too at a young age. So thank you for that. Any analysis on the game that you feel like offering, you idiots? I have Ohio State winning 24-23.
So they don't even get to the 24 minimum that you went on the podcast last week.
Nope. I've slept on it. I've looked at it. I've done the analysis. The correct and final score is going to be Ohio State 24, Indiana 23.
So you think that's like? Do you think how does that play out? Is it like
This is
a
exactly
field
what I've
goal?
done.
Is it like
This is what I said a little bit earlier, hinting at where I go. I think there's a moment, some point in the middle of this game, that we will go back and we will think, there it was. That was our opportunity to flip this or do something to change the outcome of the game. Obviously, I'm predicting a 1-point win for Ohio State. There is a opportunity where Indiana will end up kicking field goals, and thus we're not quite there. And I think Ohio State and Ryan Day will rightly see, like, no, we should go for this on 4th and 3 on the 45. Like, we trust our defense, like, whatever, like, we're going to go for it. And that will lead to them getting a touchdown when conversely, like, Indiana didn't, right? Like, I think that's the difference. I think this is a very, very close game. I think this is a game where it's probably late 3rd, early 4th when this game gets decided. I don't see this being like Ohio State up 24-10 with a minute in the 3rd quarter and us getting some garbage time, moving on or something else. I see this as a somewhat neck and neck, never definitely more than 1 score lead, but ultimately the way the things sort of stack up in the decisions lead to a little bit of a shortcoming for Indiana, and Ohio State wins.
wow, man?
Listen, I told you all no fear. No fear. I'm absolutely no fear to come out and say Ohio State wins. Credit to
So
me.
so for me, it's been hard. I'm not nervous. I
No.
will be nervous Saturday. I'm not nervous right now, which is weird. I've been nervous over the last couple weeks and like a month, and there have been moments where I'm like, there's no way anyone's beating this Ohio State team, and Indiana's going up against it. But I've done some self-reflection. I've thought about the lead up to the Oregon game. I thought about why I thought that way, which was we were coming off the Iowa game that was really close. We were, Oregon just had beat a Penn State team that we thought was elite. I mean, they
Yeah.
still have great players, but we thought was elite at the time. And Indiana was coming off a bye week, and Fernando Mendoza was good at times, but even in the Iowa game, I thought we got conservative at places, and I didn't think we could go into Autzen, which we had heard for years was really hard. I want to point out Ohio State lost there last year. Ohio State was not in the Big Ten championship game because, as you pointed out on Twitter today, they had lost 2 conference games last year, and that was in Michigan and at there. So I thought that. Then all of a sudden, Indiana comes in out there and not only like beats Ohio State or Oregon, they handle Oregon. And I have to go, maybe, just maybe, this coaching staff, these players, they know what they're doing. And I have to put my football analysis cap on and say, Ohio State has played nobody. They've not played anybody. I'm sorry. I think Ohio State is very good. I think they're the best team in the country. I think they win 6 or 7 times out of 10 against Indiana this season and this roster. But Saturday is going to be one of the other ones. I have Indiana winning 28-13. And the reason why is because I think it's going to be close early. I think it's going to be the 10-10 game that we saw at Oregon at halftime. And then all of a sudden, what I'm going to see is Indiana start wearing them down and making adjustments. Sure, Ohio State's deeper than Indiana. You could say reverse. Bo Jackson's played really, 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 really well for Ohio State in the last couple weeks. But that's not the same running back room that we saw last year. And Ohio State, I think, is going to get leaned on and leaned on and leaned on. And I think Indiana's going to run the ball and run the ball and run the ball. And then they're going to pick their spots and they're going to get first downs and they're going to move the ball. And I think all of a sudden they're going to look up. It's going to be 21-10 or 21-13. And Ohio State's just going to be like, we'll see them in the national title game. Because I think that's just how that game plays out. I could probably be wrong. I'm most likely wrong, especially with that double-digit win. But I think it's going to be a party in Indianapolis. And Indiana fans are going to see something that they have obviously never seen before. And the college football world probably won't see again. I will say, if Indiana wins like that, I'd probably pick Ohio State in a rematch. Just saying.
Yeah. But let's close out this show with one other simple fact. If Indiana wins like you just described, I will be streaking from the upper deck down to the field, and we'll be in a local Indiana jail. So you will need to bail me out, and I will have a court date, because that would be the greatest day of my life.
Yes. Here's the thing is I'm wearing, for those of you listening on the podcast, go find us on YouTube. By the way, subscribe, like, follow. We're on TikTok, Instagram, all those things. I am wearing Home Field, the good brand, Rose Bowl shirt from 1968 when Indiana last went to the Rose Bowl, because that win would secure our place in the Rose Bowl, the number 1 overall seed, and we would be going out west. And I think the McGee family would be going out west as well. So I am sitting here and I am rooting for that outcome, obviously, not only because of my Indiana fandom, but because I would love to see the sunset set over the Trident on those helmets, ripping off of the helmets and seeing the Trident just fold into the terrible decals that they are, and just see the sun and the mountains and the sunset. That's what I want to see. I want to see the roses. So maybe I'm wishful thinking. This might get clipped, and it is wishful thinking, but this will not get clipped. Ohio State, you're very good. You can win. You are going to win this game. You are, I think, better than Indiana. But I think on one magical night in Lucas Oil Stadium, Indiana's going to take the cake.
Love it. Love it.
All right. Hey, here's the schedule. On Sunday, Tim and I will come back and have our reaction to the game. People are demanding a live post game on stuff, but Tim is going to be at the game, so he cannot do that. Maybe I'll just sit up here and either just laugh at Ohio State fans joining the post game or cry. I don't know. But no matter what, we will come back on Sunday and have our reaction show. In that reaction show, we will actually talk about some of the signing. Signing day was on this past Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. Recruiting Indiana's class, really good. Love to talk a little bit more about that, but this was not the episode to do that. And maybe we touch on basketball because woof.
Oh no.
Yeah. But no matter what happens at 2:00 at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Indiana is going to win against Lucas Oil. At least I believe. Maybe Tim doesn't. For all of you, we'll see on the internet. Clip us, follow Tim at TB Hoosiers, and at me at ST McGee, and Kirkwood and Dunn at Kirkwood and Dunn.